Today, we're going to talk about how avoidance actually shows up in your everyday life in ways that seem so normal, we often don't even recognize them for what they really are. Because once you can name it, you can change it. So let's get right to it. There's always a moment, might not look like much from the outside, might not come with fireworks or a collapse or drama, but it's the moment something inside you finally says, I can't keep doing this. It's the moment where the pressure of performance, of busyness, of avoiding your very own heart finally cracks something wide open. One of my mentors says, the sound of crashing glass all around you, Britt, isn't your life turning upside down. It's turning right side up. And that was during a particularly rough season in my life, recovering from a not so healthy emotional relationship. So sometimes when that gets cracked wide open, you're free to feel. For me, it was a Thursday afternoon. I was reorganizing a drawer full of Tupperware of all things, extra lids, never had matching containers, meticulously lining them up. Like, if I could just fix this one small thing, everything else would fall into place in my life, right? I'm thinking Tupperware, oh my gosh. My mind was racing, my body was tense, and underneath it all was a very strange emptiness. And I'm thinking, what am I doing here alone with kitchen Tupperware? And then, without warning, I just stopped, sat down on the kitchen floor, and stared at that plastic. And I remember thinking, not dramatically, not even sadly, just honestly, I don't feel anything. I've been going nonstop for so long, I don't even know who I am when I stop. And it wasn't a breakdown, it was a revelation. I hadn't been living. I'd been coping. I'd been performing. I'd been numbing. I'd been managing. And at that moment, the quiet, strange stillness of it was my breaking point, in a good way. I got to be present with God and work through some things that had been stuck. For other women I've worked with, it's looked different. For one gal, it was walking out of church on a Mother's Day after smiling and nodding and hugging people with all the strength that she didn't feel, getting in the car and sobbing so hard she couldn't drive home for an hour. She didn't know why that day hit differently, but her body did. It was Mother's Day, and she had never told her husband or children about that baby in heaven that she was a mother to. Our body remembers these things. For another client, it was during an ordinary meeting at work, and her coworker had asked her, how you doing today? And she gave the usual, fine, doing great, busy, but good. And as she walked away, she realized she hadn't really answered that question honestly, not in years. And she didn't even know what a real answer would look like because she was so expert at running on autopilot. For some, the breaking point comes in silence. A sleepless night where your mind won't quit, a prayer where you can't quite seem to finish, or a memory that resurfaces out of nowhere and leaves you breathless. Sometimes a small failure can trigger this fear, missing a deadline, forgetting an appointment, snapping at somebody you love, and then the spiral can begin, not because the mistake was huge, but because perfectionism has made you believe there's no room for error. And for many post-abortive women, the breaking point comes really quietly, like a whisper. A birthday, a due date, a line in a sermon, a scene in a movie. Something you thought you'd moved on from suddenly feels too sharp. And you have spent so long outrunning the pain you didn't realize it was still tracking you. But here's the sacred truth about the breaking point. It isn't the end. It's the invitation. It's the moment you realized you're not okay. It's the first step towards your becoming whole. It's the moment you admit, I don't want to avoid anymore. That's the moment your healing begins. And yes, it can be terrifying because avoidance gives you structure. It gives you control. And that's another video. It gave you a sense of safety, even in the hollow. And it convinces you that if you let go, you'll be stepping into free fall. But I want to say something clearly to you today. The breaking point is not your failure. It's your breakthrough. It's especially true of abortion. It's the moment you trade performance for presence, pretending for permission, numbing for truth. Psalm 34:18 doesn't say, the Lord is near to the strong. It says, the Lord is near to the brokenhearted, not the polished, not the productive, the brokenhearted. So if your mask is cracking, like mine did, if the performance is slipping, like mine was, if the silence is getting too loud to ignore, you're not falling apart. You're being invited back to yourself, to your truth, the truth that God made you, to your healing, and to your God. You don't have to walk that path alone. In the next video, we're going to talk about what that path actually looks like. and how you begin to heal after years of avoiding, years of managing, years of keeping it all together. It's gentler than you think, and it starts exactly where you are. You are beloved.